Have you ever ended a conversation, said goodbye, walked away, and then hours later, you're still in it? The other person has long since moved on with their day. They're not thinking about you, but you're lying in bed, or driving, or staring at your screen, and your mind keeps pulling you back to that one moment. The thing you said, the thing you should have said, the way your voice sounded, the look on their face that you can't quite read. And you start to wonder, why does my brain do this? Why can't I just let it go like everyone else seems to? Is something wrong with me? Am I just anxious? Am I broken in some way other people aren't? Here's what I've come to understand. The people who replay conversations in their heads are not broken, and they're not simply anxious. Their minds are running a process that most people's brains never bother to run at all. And once you understand what that process actually is, you'll stop seeing it as a flaw you need to fix, and start seeing it for what it really is. Because the truth is, the same wiring that keeps you up at night, replaying a 4-second exchange, is the wiring that makes you the person others feel safe around. It's connected to how deeply you read people, how much weight you give to being understood, and how seriously you take the business of not hurting anyone. So if you've ever felt that your own mind is your worst enemy at 2 a.m., stay with me. By the end of this, I think you'll feel very differently about what's going on in your head. Let's start with what's actually happening in your brain when you do this, because there's a real mechanism behind it. Back in the 1920s, a psychologist named Zeigarnik noticed something strange while sitting in a cafe. The waiters could remember complicated orders perfectly while those orders were still open. The moment the bill was paid and the table was done, the memory vanished. They couldn't recall what those same people had eaten just minutes earlier. What she discovered is now called the Zeigarnik effect, and it's simple. Your brain holds on to things that feel unfinished, an open loop, a task without an ending, a question without an answer. Your mind treats unresolved things as a kind of background program that keeps running, quietly demanding attention, refusing to close until it gets some sense of completion. A conversation is one of the most open-ended things a human being can experience. There's no scoreboard. Nobody tells you how it went. You don't get a receipt that says you handled that well. You can stop thinking about it now. So your brain does the only thing it knows how to do with something unfinished. It keeps the file open. It keeps reviewing. It keeps you in the room long after you've left it. This is the part most people miss. You're not replaying the conversation because you're weak or obsessive, or because there's something defective about you. You're replaying it because your brain registered that interaction as something that still matters and hasn't been resolved. And a brain that does that is not a malfunctioning brain. It's a brain that's paying attention. Think about what it actually takes to replay a conversation. You have to care about it. Most of what people say to each other in a day passes straight through them. The small talk, the half-heard answers, the automatic "how are you?" "I'm good." It goes in one ear and out the other because, on some level, it didn't matter. Nobody lies awake replaying a conversation they didn't care about. So the very fact that your mind holds on to certain exchanges is telling you something. It's telling you those moments carried weight. The relationship mattered. Being understood mattered. Not coming across the wrong way mattered. You are someone who takes the space between two people seriously, and that is not a small thing. In a world where a lot of people barely register the human in front of them, you are tracking it all. The tone, the pauses, the thing left unsaid. I want you to sit with that for a second, because we so rarely give ourselves credit for it. The exhausting part of your mind and the meaningful part of your mind are the same part. You can't have one without the other. There's a personality trait psychologists measure called conscientiousness, and people who replay conversations tend to score high on it. It's the trait associated with being careful, thorough, responsible, and aware of how your actions land on other people. It correlates with being a good friend, a reliable partner, the person others come to when something actually matters. And here's what behavioral psychology is very clear about. We act in line with who we believe ourselves to be. If you're the kind of person who reviews your conversations, it's usually because somewhere underneath there's a belief running the show. A belief that says, I want to be a good person. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to be understood, and I want to understand them back. That belief is the engine. The replaying is just the engine running. You're not doing it because you're insecure. You're doing it because you hold yourself to a standard, about how you treat people. The mind that goes back over a conversation is the same mind that apologizes when it's wrong, that notices when a friend goes quiet, that remembers the thing you mentioned once in passing 3 months ago. People feel safe with you, and this is part of why. Let me show you the deeper layer, because this is where it gets genuinely fascinating. Your brain has what researchers loosely call a social processing system. It's the machinery that lets you imagine what's going on inside someone else's head. Psychologists call this ability theory of mind, and it's one of the most sophisticated things the human brain does. It's the reason you can sense that a friend is upset before they say a word, or pick up that something is off from the way someone types a single text message. People who replay conversations tend to have this system turned up high. You're not just remembering what was said, you're running simulations. What did they mean by that? How did it land? Did they take it the way I intended? You're modeling another person's inner world in fine detail, and you're doing it long after the conversation is over, because your brain is still trying to get the model right. There's a cost to having this system run hot, and we'll get to that. But understand what it buys you first. The same wiring that keeps you up reviewing is the wiring that makes you perceptive, empathetic, and tuned into people in a way that a lot of folks simply are not. You're not overthinking for no reason. You're running expensive software that most people don't even have installed. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Sam, this is a nice way to dress it up, but you're not in my head at 3 a.m. It doesn't feel like a gift, it feels like torture. I've lost sleep over one sentence I said at a party 2 years ago. Don't tell me that's empathy. It's just suffering. I hear you. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise, because that would be dishonest. There is a version of this that genuinely hurts. There's a difference between reviewing a conversation and being trapped in one. Between learning from a moment and reliving it on a loop with no exit. So let me draw that line clearly, because the line is everything. Replaying a conversation is not the same thing as ruminating, even though they feel almost identical from the inside. Healthy review has a direction. You go back over the moment, you ask what you'd do differently, you take something from it, and then it closes. It moves you forward. It's how thoughtful people get better at the most important skill there is, which is dealing with other human beings. Rumination has no direction. It's the same loop running over and over, the same painful frame replaying with no new information and no resolution. It doesn't ask, what can I learn? It just asks, why did I say that 40 times in a row, and never accepts an answer. Review ends. Rumination just spins. Here's the part nobody tells you. The loop usually isn't actually about the conversation. It's about a fear underneath it. The fear that you're not likable. The fear that you said something that revealed you. The fear that the connection is fragile, and one wrong word could break it. The conversation is just the surface. The loop is your brain trying to protect you from a threat that, most of the time, isn't really there. And that's good news because it means the loop isn't permanent. It's not your personality. It's a habit your nervous system has learned, and anything learned can be worked with. I want to be straight with you about the cost, because ignoring it would be doing you a disservice. When you replay a stressful conversation, your body doesn't fully know the difference between remembering it and living it. The same stress response can fire. Your heart rate can tick up. That stress hormone, cortisol, can rise as if the moment were happening all over again. So you can end up reliving a single uncomfortable exchange 10, 20, 50 times, and your body pays the physical price every single time. This is why people who do this often struggle to fall asleep, or wake up already tense, or feel drained in a way that doesn't match what actually happened in their day. Nothing bad happened. You just spent 4 hours in a conversation that lasted 4 minutes. Your nervous system never got the signal that the moment was over and it was safe to stand down. So the goal here is not to shut your mind off. You don't want to lose the part of you that cares this much. The goal is to keep the perceptiveness and the empathy, and give your brain a way to finally close the loop so the reviewing serves you instead of slowly wearing you down. Let me show you how to actually do that. The first thing, and this is the one that changes the most for people, is to give the open loop the closure your brain is begging for. Remember the Zeigarnik effect. Your mind holds on to things that feel unfinished, so finish it deliberately on paper. When you catch yourself replaying a conversation, write down the thing you wish you'd said. The clever line, the better response, the apology, whatever it is. You're not going to send it. The point isn't the other person. The point is that the act of writing it gives your brain the ending it was searching for. You're telling it, the loop is closed, I've handled the unfinished part, you can put the file away now. People are often shocked at how much a 30-second note quiets a thought that's been running for days. The second thing is to give the reviewing a time and a place instead of letting it ambush you. This sounds almost too simple, but it works. Pick a window, 10 minutes in the early evening. When a replay shows up outside that window, you tell yourself, not now. I'll think about this at 6. And here's the strange part. Most of the time, by 6, the thought has lost its grip, and you don't even want it anymore. You're not suppressing it, you're scheduling it. Your brain trusts that it'll get its turn, so it stops banging on the door at midnight. The third thing is to ask one question, and then actually accept the answer. The question is there anything for me to learn here, yes or no? If yes, take the one lesson and write it down. You handled it. If no, you say it plainly to yourself. There's nothing to fix here. This is just my brain being thorough. Then you let it go. The trap is asking the same question over and over and refusing every answer. You only have to answer it once. And the fourth thing, maybe the most important of all, talk to yourself the way you talk to a friend who came to you replaying the exact same conversation. You would never say to them what you say to yourself. You'd never tell them they were stupid, or that everyone secretly thinks less of them now. You'd say, honestly, they've already forgotten. You're being kind to yourself about nothing. Give yourself that same voice. The harshness is not the truth. It's just the loop wearing a costume. So here's what I'd like you to try over the next 7 days. The next time you catch yourself replaying a conversation, I want you to do just one thing. Stop and say to yourself, this is the part of me that cares. Name it. Then pick one of the tools we talked about. Write the unfinished thing down. Schedule it for later. Answer the question once and accept it. Just one, every time it happens, for 7 days. Don't try to stop replaying. That's not the goal, and fighting your own mind never works anyway. The goal is to change your relationship with it, to stop treating this part of yourself as an enemy, and start treating it as what it actually is. A mind that pays attention. A mind that cares how it lands on people. A mind worth having once you learn how to give it an ending. Do that for 7 days, and then tell me it hasn't shifted something in how you sit with your own thoughts. If this put words to something you felt for a long time and never quite been able to name, you already know there's more going on in your head than you've been giving yourself credit for. That's what we do here. We unpack it, one piece at a time. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.